So now I've offered this course about a dozen times in person and about 4 times online, and can give you some of the things I've learned from that experience contrasting the two formats. First of all, that access has increased online. I'll go into the details in a moment. That off-campus resources are necessary. That the attention span of students online is much shorter than I ever expected. Information density online is much greater than I ever expected. FaceTime is important. And then lastly, I won't have time to go into great details, but can do so at noon. We've had extensive evaluations of the course, both online and in person, and with experienced and inexperienced TAs, and we have a lot of information that we can evaluate the effectiveness of the course, both from a student perspective and as an instructor perspective, and I'll share that with you at noon. Access has increased. I strongly doubt that online education is going to save time or money. The preparation time for online courses, those of you who have done it, a number of you have, is extremely long. The capacity to deal with large number of students is diminished. We find that our discussion sections are become really compromised when we reach about 15 students, where in person we can do about 25. Where it really has major advantages in that we can serve more students. It is particularly advantageous for working students because of the flexibility in the scheduling. It's advantageous for students who live outside the Davis area. This quarter, I have a new mother who brings her nursing child to her class. I have several athletes, one who's a professional soccer player in Southern California. I have one student who's physically disabled and requires a team to bring her into a class on campus. A number of the students, I think the vast majority, are taking the course as a 6th or 7th course because of the ease of scheduling. This has advantages and disadvantages. Off-campus resources that I've been, relied on, I looked for a website on campus to house my materials and found that they were lacking. So I have actually rented my own site off campus. It costs about $70 a year. It has unlimited space and access, something I could not get on campus. I use YouTube as a video server. It's free. There's issues in terms of intellectual property. You cannot post copyright materials. You have to go through the IP issues before you post it there. It's a great video player. It has variable resolution and variable speed. It has very excellent closed captioning. It makes it very easy to use and ADA compliant. Testing centers. Our campus does not yet have a testing center. And so, for example, since my class has no fixed time, I cannot give an exam at a fixed time, and therefore must administrate my exams 6 times. We can also use off-campus testing centers, but it costs the students about $30 for a 1-hour exam, $50 for a 2-hour exam. Attention span of students. One great thing about online education is you get incredible metrics. You can tell what the students are watching, how long they're watching it, and then calculate how it affects their performance. So here's some numbers from my course. Just looking at lectures from the last couple of months, there have been about over 12,000 page views on the lectures. One thing I would like to point your attention to, look at the average time on page. The attention span of students online is about 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Consider what we are doing to students when we make them sit through a lecture that's 50 minutes. How about that? So rather than fight this, I started doing some self-evaluation and realized that my attention span was about 4 minutes. And I think most of us have similar, particularly online. Rather than fight this, I've divided my lectures into 4-minute segments where we have videos of about 4 minutes that are interspersed with quizzes and then are interspersed with data visualizations and so on. The information density online is incredibly greater than it is face-to-face. One estimate is that it's over double the information density face-to-face. One piece of evidence for this is that Coursera, as well as we can find that students are watching recorded lectures at about double speed. So when they take your iPod podcast, they play it at double speed. They play my lectures back at 3/4 speed. One reason we can get such high information density is that it's reinforced by images, closed captioning. Most students who even don't have hearing disabilities listen to the lecture as well as read it at the same time, and that really reinforces the information. You can include music, which is seems very strange when you do it in a face-to-face lecture, but it's very natural in a video. And then the students can replay it at their own will. FaceTime is still very important, and students prefer to see the presenter, face of the presenter while they're doing this. Disembodied voice is very disconcerting, so we put a thumbnail in the corner of most of the material. In reverse, it's very disconcerting not to be able to see the students. So I attempt as much as possible to have the students turn on their webcams and microphones, even if there are technical difficulties. So the last thing is evaluations. I'm going to give the short shrift. We do have extensive evaluations that have been done by John Young at the Center for Educational Assessment at UC Santa Barbara. Some of the results are shown here, and I obviously won't have a chance to go through it, but we have comparisons of the course being taught online, taught face-to-face, being taught by experienced TAs, being taught by new TAs. And the bottom line you can see that the grades are not different. I think most analyses of online education find that the format is less important than the instructor, which is, I think, good news. So I'd like to reinforce that access is increased, off-campus resources are necessary, the attention span is shortened online, information density is increased, FaceTime is important, and evaluations are also. Thank you.